Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Srimad Bhagavatam Skanda 7 Adhyaya 10 Shloka Sankhya 49 Sava Ayam Brahma Mahat Vimrigya Kaivalya Nirvana Sukhanubhuti Priyasurit Vas Vakh Kalumatuleya Marhaniyo Vidikrit Guruscha Sava Ayam Brahma Mahat Vimrigya Kaivalya Nirvana Sukhanu Bhutihi Priyasurit Vakhkalu Matuleya Atmarhaniyo Vididrik Guruscha Sava Ayam Brahma Mahat Vimrigya Kaivalya Nirvana Sukhanubhuti Sriya Surit Vakhkalu Matuleya Atmarhaniyo Vididrik Guruscha Sava Ayam Brahma Mahat Vimrigya Kaivalya Nirvana Sukhanubhuti Priyasurit Vakhkalu Matuleya Atmarhaniyo Vidikrit Guruscha Sava Ayam Brahma Mahat Vimrigya Kaivalya Nirvana Sukhanubhuti Priyasurit Vakhkalu Matuleya Atmarhaniyo Vidikrit Guruscha Sava Ayam Brahma Mahat Vimrigya Kaivalya Nirvana Sukhanubhuti Priyasurit Vakhkalu Matuleya Atmarhaniyo Vidikrit Guruscha this fan on? It's not working. चलते नहीं. Padapataha Saha, that Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Va, also, I am this Brahma, the impersonal Brahman, which is an emanation from Krishna. Mahat, by great personalities, Vimrigya, searched for, Kaivalya, oneness. You know how to start this fan? Nirvana Sukha, of transcendental happiness. Anubhuti, the source of practical experience. He would not start. It's not working. Priyaha, very, very dear. Suhrit, well-wisher. Vaha, of you. Kalu, indeed. Matuleyaha, the son of a maternal uncle. Atma, exactly like body and soul together. Arhaniyaha, worshipable, because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vidhikrit, yet he serves you as an order carrier. Guruhu, your supreme advisor. Cha, as well. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The impersonal Brahman is Krishna himself, because Krishna is the source of the impersonal Brahman. He is the origin of the transcendental bliss sought by great saintly persons. Yet he, the Supreme Person, is your most dear friend and constant well-wisher, and is intimately related to you as the son of your maternal uncle. Indeed, he is always like your body and soul. He is worshipable, yet he acts as your servant and sometimes as your spiritual master. Purport. There is always a difference of opinion about the absolute truth. One class of transcendentalists concludes that the absolute truth is impersonal, and another class concludes that the absolute truth is a person. In Bhagavad Gita, the absolute truth is accepted as the Supreme Person. Indeed, that Supreme Person himself, Lord Krishna, instructs in Bhagavad Gita, Brahmano hi pratishtaham mataf parataram nanyat. The impersonal Brahman is my personal is my partial manifestation, and there is no truth superior to me. That same Krishna, the personality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, acted as the supreme friend and relative of the, friend and relative of the Pandavas. And sometimes he even acted as their servant by carrying a letter from the Pandavas to Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. Because Krishna was the well-wisher of the Pandavas, he also acted as guru by becoming the spiritual master of Arjuna. Arjuna accepted Krishna as his spiritual master. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. And Krishna sometimes chastised him. For example, the Lord said, Ashocyan anvasochastvam prajñavadamscha bhashase. While speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. The Lord also said, Kutastva kashmalamidam vishame samupastitam. My dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? Such was the intimate relationship between the Pandavas and Krishna. In the same way, a pure devotee of the Lord is always with Krishna through thick and thin. His way of life is Krishna. This is the statement on the authority of Sri Narada Muni. Hare Krishna. So Narad Muni is speaking. Narad Muni is speaking. So, what happened? Okay. There are the impersonalists and the personalists. Because we cannot see the person, mostly people understand that there is a supreme power. They consider that that power is impersonal. Manchayo avyabhichadena bhakti yogena sevate sagunam samathityaitam brahmabhuyaya kalpate. When one crosses over the mode of goodness, passion and ignorance, Sattva gun, Raja gun and Tamo gun, he comes to the impersonal Brahman. Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. Next verse, excuse me, is Vinite. Next verse, Brahmano hi pratishtaham, that impersonal Brahman is resting in me. So, while it is clear from the statements of Krishna in the Gita that he is the source of Brahman, there are many people who cannot believe, they cannot conceive that there is anything greater than Brahman. So they are the impersonalists. Someone may say, well, there are the Western religions. Western religions say that there is a person. So what should we believe? It may be said that Vedic religion and Western religion are both based on Shraddha, faith. Prabhupada, his opinion was that the Western religions are the religions of meat eaters. Meat eaters. Couldn't understand that. Meat eater. Someone who eats non-vegetarian food. Rabindranath Tagore specifically criticized Christianity. He said that he couldn't accept that God would only send one son, and that son would take all the sins of the world, and then anybody could act in any way he wanted and still get liberation from material bondage. Bhava Bandhana. Bandhana means to be bound up. Bhava is the material world. So that is their opinion. And there's a lot of other opinions. What should we accept? That is the question. So, Vedic system. First thing is Vedas. They are in the Mundaka Upanishad. I didn't memorize the mantra, but it says that the Vedas are the breathing of God. Mahabharata, Gita, Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata. It's called the fifth Veda, Panchama Veda. Vedic knowledge explained in a more simple language. People of Kali Yuga are less intelligent. Prayena Payusha Sabya Karo Asmin Yuge Jana. Srimad Bhagavatam says people have a short life in Kali Yuga. And they're dull-headed, manda, sumanda, even foolish, manda matayaha. Their brain substance is less. Manda bhagya, they are unfortunate. He upadritaha, they are disturbed. There's no peace. So these are generalization. Generalization. Generally people don't live long. 100 years. Some people live to 105, 110. And 1 in a million lives to 115 with great difficulty. Very few. We understand from Bhagavatam that people used to live for 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 100,000 years. Chitraketu had 100,000 wives, 10 million wives, according to the Bhagavatam. How could he enjoy all of those wives in 100 years? Not possible. Not possible. Wife is meant for having children. Having children is by sexual contact. Chitraketu had 10 million wives and no children. How is it possible for him to have 10 million wives? The answer is he had a lifetime of 100,000 years. He had enough time to connect with every wife. And the connections were useless, a waste of time. No children. If someone doesn't have a child in Vedic culture, they are considered unfortunate. Of course, there's a lot of children now that are born without the Garbhadana Sanskar. So those children are hardly counted in Vedic culture. But everyone is like that now, almost. That's a generalization. Maybe somebody is performing. Maybe. Maybe. Few. Very few. Therefore, Kali Yuga, people don't follow the Vedic system. They're considered unfortunate. Today, some of us were reading Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter. There, Lord Krishna says, at the time of death, if you remember me, you can come to me. Anta kale chamameva smaran mukha kalevaram. One who remembers me at the time of death, by practice of yoga, he gets liberation. Muktva. Mukti means liberation. So there are 4 aims in human life according to the Vedic concept. Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. To know Dharma, one has to study Vedas. So that's why, according to Vedic system, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas studied Vedas in the childhood. And the sacred thread, Yagnopavit, was given to study Vedas. Women were not given the sacred thread. It's an old tradition. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur introduced the sacred thread for Shudras, those who were not born in the family of Brahman, Kshatriya and Vaishya. He did not give the sacred thread to women. Prabhupada did not give the sacred thread to women. He gave sacred thread to Africans. Yes? Men. But Africans, Chinese, Japanese, Iranians, Europeans. But he did not give to women. So how can a woman be a Diksha Guru? How is it possible? By passing a resolution, is it possible? Can you change what the great acharyas like Prabhupada and Bhakti Siddhanta did? Can it be changed? Why they didn't give to the women? They gave Gayatri Mantra. Gayatri Mantra wasn't given to the women. But the thread he did not give. Now, they did not maybe start study of Vedas. That is left. Yeah. Because the thread is meant for those who study the Vedas. What is the proof? We are Vaishnavas. We don't need Vedas. Some people say, but in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 45, there's a description of what Krishna and Balaram studied in Sandipani Muni's ashram in Avanti. Vedas, Upanishads, Dhanurveda military science, and 64 arts. Does Krishna and Balaram need to study these things? I want to know. The answer is no. It is not required for Krishna or Balaram to study anything. They are the avatars of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They created the world. They know everything. Sarvagya, all-knowing. Sarva-Shaktiman, all-powerful. Sarva-Vyapi, all-pervading. Why did they study in Sandipani's ashram? What is the reason? To teach human society. What should be studied? The foolish human society is spending a lot of money, lot of time studying in the modern educational institutions. In the past, they didn't exist. Sandipani didn't build a huge ashram. We are building. We are building. But what is really required is to know Vedic literature. Bhagavatam is a commentary on Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta means Upanishads, the end of knowledge. If we don't study, Prabhupada wrote that Gaudiya Vaishnavas should study Vedanta Sutras. And if you study Vedanta Sutras, you might want to study the Upanishads. You might want to study the Vedas. But what are we studying? Modern science that your father's 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 father was a monk. And we are actually animals. That's what they're teaching. Because modern society is less intelligent, they focus on the body. Because the Malekshas and Yavanas of the West are so attached to the body, they bury the body instead of disposing the body in the fire. They think foolishly that the body is going to come back to life. They do not understand that the body is made of the 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether, sky. They're attached to the body. We're also attached to the body. Prabhupada said that one should strive to live. Prabhupada taught, Vedic literature teaches, if you commit suicide, you have to become a ghost. You will be punished. It is an offense to commit suicide. It is not moksha, it is not liberation. Maybe if you commit suicide at Prayagraj, you get liberation. Maybe. Maybe. We believe like that. But we are not instructing anyone like that. Apparently, one of Prabhupada's disciples did that. And Prabhupada said, I did not tell him to do that. If it was so easy, then we would all go to Prayag and commit mass suicide. If it was so easy. In fact, liberation is not easy. So we are suffering in the material world, and Bhagavat describes Kaivalya Kaivalya Nirvana Sukhanubhuti in this verse today. That is the pleasure of entering into the impersonal effulgence of the Lord. It's called Sayuja Mukti, becoming one with Krishna. But you don't become Krishna. How can we become Krishna? There were many great scholars in this country who knew thousands and thousands of shlokas. And they thought that the gopis became Krishna. They were, what is it? They were dancing with Krishna and they merged into Krishna. Mayavadis say like that. Bhagavatam does not say like that. But Bhagavatam says Kaivalya Nirmanu Sukhanubhuti. It must exist. It must exist as Sayuja Mukti. The soul, the Atma, merges into the body of Vishnu, but you don't become Vishnu. You remain separate. Mamai Vangsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. The Jivas are eternal parts of Vishnu. They are not Vishnu. Otherwise we wouldn't be in these material bodies. If we were Vishnu, why should we be born in this material world and have to suffer disease? Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi. Vyadi means disease. Whole world is going crazy because of disease. Disease is not new. Disease is from the beginning of the creation of the material world. Different type of diseases are there. We know so many people who died from different type of disease. Some their high blood pressure, their what is it? The blood vessels in their brain burst. It's called a brain hemorrhage. In this temple we had from 1985 till 1990. That's a long time ago. How many years ago is that? 1985. 35 years ago. One retired officer from the Road Transport Corporation, he joined our temple to do some service. He was retired, he was 60 years old. That's younger than me now. He worked here for 5 years. And he was a very gentleman. And I remember I went to America in 1990. And when I was there for 4 months, he had a brain hemorrhage. He left his body. 30 years ago. 30 years ago. His grandson sometimes in touch with me, sometimes. Once in a blue moon. Once in a while. Gunagrahi Maharaj, we all, well, some of us knew him. He's gone. He had cancer. Left his body in Vrindavan. And like that, so many. They may have been sannyasis, they may have been grihastas, they may have been brahmacharis. Brahmachari also has to leave his body. Not that everyone, Janma, Mrityu, birth and death, Jara, old age. and Vyadi. Dukkha dosha anudarshanam. These are the miseries. Kaivalya nirvana sukhanubhuti means there is no janma mrityu jara vyadi. Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. You come to the platform of Brahman. There is no more birth and death, no old age, no disease. But Bhagavatam says you come back. Gita says if you reach the highest you don't come back. But Bhagavatam says if you reach Sayujya Mukti you have to come back. Because there's nothing to do there. You're floating in nothing. You're free from birth and death. No activity. So then the soul desires some activity, he comes back. Bhagavatam says, Param padam tataha patanti. From the highest plane, he comes back. Gita says, Yad gatva nanivartante. Having gone there, you do not return. So what is that? Those are the other muktis. Salokya, Samipya, Sarshti, Sarupya. It's all theoretical. We haven't seen, we don't remember, we forgot. We have to use our intelligence. So how do we use our intelligence properly? By accepting the teachings of Vedic literature. Just like cow dung. Prabhupada used the example of cow dung. Generally, stool is considered impure. Traditionally, according to Vedic culture, there should not be a toilet. You should go outside the city, outside the town. Because now, people are not following that. They have to spend a lot of money and time digging holes and putting pipes. And even then they have a problem. Where does it go? All this waste. Traditional system, you go outside of town, you deposit your waste there. It's biodegradable. It goes back into the earth. A lot of time and energy is spent so that you can cook next to the place you pass through. Is that healthy? Oh, I think you have that in the Brahmachari ashram. Oops, excuse me. He's beneath it. The Vedic system meant Indian village system. Prabhupada said like that. The Indian village system is the ideal system for life. The government of the last 70 years has tried its best to destroy the Indian village system. In 1974, 400 international devotees came to Mayapur. I was there, I was 19 years old. Just 11 years younger than my son over here, who was 30 years old. At that time. We all stayed in Mayapur, we went to Vrindavan. At Vrindavan, Prabhupada divided the 400, 200 go back to Mayapur. Learn Varnashram Dharma. Today, some of the leaders of ISKCON, some of the leaders say that Varnashram Dharma is nonsense. Prabhupada is not here to slap them in the face. Of course, he never slapped anyone in the face. But he used words that were like slaps. Today we read in the Ramayana that Sugriva slapped Virupaksha twice and he died. But if we had to slap everyone in the face who said that Varnashram Dharma was nonsense, we would have to slap most of the human beings. It's not practical. So the hope was, if you distribute books, they might read the books. It would be nice if ISKCON's leaders read what Prabhupada wrote. It would be nice. Maybe they will someday. Maybe. There's a hope. Just like we're reading 10 verses of Gita here. Many people think that that is some kind of an offense. Prabhupada printed the books for other people to read, not for us. I'm joking. I'm joking. If we read 10 verses of Gita every day, what do we lose? How much time does it take? 10 minutes. In those 10 minutes, we could be chanting one round. We can chant that one round later. I don't. Because there's no other program to read the Gita regularly, is there? Think about it. So, in order to get mukti, we have to take guidance from Vedic literature. Many years ago, 1984, I met one of the Madhva Sampradaya sannyasis. Recently, he left his body at the age of 88. Tejawar Swami, you might have heard his name. He came here once or twice, just had darshan and went away. He didn't lecture here. I asked him what is more important, to study or to preach? So he said both are important, but please don't give up preaching. He said nobody is doing it. So, whole humanity is being misguided. And ISKCON leaders are also misguided. It's not so surprising. We live in a Kali Yuga. Not all the leaders, but some. How could they pass a resolution that women can be gurus, Diksha Guru? Yeah, women are guru. First guru is mother. Shiksha Guru. Shiksha Guru is not formal. Informal. It's not formal. They have made it formal. Counselors. Counselors. What's a counselor? Translate that word into Sanskrit. Shiksha Guru. Why they made it formal? Western outlook. What are the first two words of Chaitanya Charitamrita? Who can answer? You know. You know the first two words? Chaitanya Charitamrita. Gotcha. Gotcha. Caught you. Anyone else know? Prahlad Priya Prabhu, you know? No? Why? You're a great preacher. Izvinite. I should not embarrass you. Vande Gurun. I bow down to my gurus, plural. I have said this many times here, so they all know. The devotees who live here, they know that. The first two words of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Actually, we should know what are the first two words of Bhagavatam. What are the first two words of Gita? What are the first two words of Gita? You know? Dhritarashtra Vacha. Horosho. And the first two words of Bhagavatam, Janmadhyasya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya is not, it's a, what do you call it? It's not Bhagavatam, it's as such. It's not the shloka. So, Janmadhyasya Yataha, three words. Janmadi. Janma Adi is actually Samasta Padam, it's a compound. But Janmadhyasya Yataha. And the first two words of the Rig Veda. You know? No. You know? No? You know? You know? No? Seva Vilas Prabhu knows. No. Agnemire. And the Yajurveda? No? I'm trying. Ishe Tva. And the first two words of Ishopanishad, you must know. Ishavasyamidam. Upadeshamrita. Vacho Vegam. Manasa Krodha Vegam. Should we learn Sanskrit? I gave a class in Mayapur about a month ago. He was there. You were there. So I said we should all learn Sanskrit. Then some ladies, they said, why? Why should we learn Sanskrit? Why should we worship Krishna? Yeah, why should we worship Krishna? Same thing. Why should we worship Krishna? Why should we learn Sanskrit? Krishna spoke in Sanskrit to Arjuna, we think, at least according to Vyas. Vedas are in Sanskrit, Upanishads are in Sanskrit. Krishna and Balaram went to Sandipani to learn Vedas and Upanishads. Dhanurveda is in Sanskrit. We are not learning. In English there's a word. You haven't heard this word. So how can you translate it? Lacuna. You heard that word? That means a fault. You've heard of the word fault. It is our fault. We are lazy. That's what Bhagavatam says. Manda sumanda. We have dull heads. We don't think it's important. Prabhupada was in Vrindavan. Two disciples were sitting with him. He was talking in Hindi to some local people. One of the disciples was president of ISKCON Vrindavan. The other disciple was listening. Prabhupada turned to that president of ISKCON Vrindavan. He was from England. He was from Wales, UK. He said, do you understand what we're saying? He said, no, Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada turned to the other disciple. Just see, he is living here and he thinks it is not important to learn this language. If you become a devotee of Krishna, don't you think you should learn his language? You put on this dress, you put on this tilak, you change your name, you change your food, you change the country you live in at least for a few months every year. Why don't you change your language? Learn Krishna's language. What do you lose? We're reading these verses. Shouldn't we understand the words? The meaning of the words? Wouldn't it be nice? Okay, I talked too much today. I am not the perfect person. I have so many faults. But I think what I said is correct. I may not be pure. Prabhupada said like that. You may not be pure, but don't change what I taught. Present what I taught. Of course, we have to try to become pure. But we cannot pretend. We cannot. Imitation doesn't work. You have to actually become pure. We have to give up the impure activities. But that's not easy. Any question? Yeah, we have a question here. Do you want to take the mic?
You mentioned about the person, about the group of devotees who were in Vrindavan and they didn't learn the local language.
The president
And
of ISKCON Vrindavan at that time.
Similarly, in our like for Indian devotees, sometimes devotee insists that you should learn Bengali also to understand Chaitanya Charitamrita and for the other devotional songs also. So, is it equally important for Indian devotees to learn Bengali, like Prabhupada prescribed those two partner devotees to learn Hindi or Brajbhasha also?
If you are living in Mayapur and if you didn't learn Bengali and if you're a foreigner or even an Indian from outside of Bengal, it's a shame. And if you learn Sanskrit, it will help you to understand all the Indian languages because they're all the daughters of Sanskrit. So it's a greater benefit to learn Sanskrit because all the Shastras are in Sanskrit. Just like if you learn Hindi, you can speak to people all over India. But if you learn Bengali, then you can speak to people in Bengal, Bangladesh, and maybe in Assam and Orissa, maybe. Some of the people. Rest of the people won't understand. There are people who know all the languages then. They focus their mind on learning. We tell you focus on bhakti. But if Krishna set an example for the whole human society to study Vedas, Upanishads, Dhanurveda, then we should study, I think. But I have not perfectly studied them. I'm not perfect. Tell you the frank truth. So I'm not any better than you. Something studied.
For those devotees who are living in Gujarat or MP or UP or at some other places, where Bengali is not so much prominent.
Right.
You don't talk in Bengali or
It becomes difficult.
so I think
If you go to Bengal for like 6 months, you'll pick it up. Or you can read the translations. A lot of Hindi translations of the Gaudiya Vaishnava books are available in Vrindavan. Not from ISKCON, but from outside. Okay, any other question? Yes, Prabhu.
I just want to clarify from you. Thank you very much for the lecture. There is this, I've been hearing from few devotees now that there is a part of Vaikuntha or the world of Vrindavan where Bengali is spoken. Do you ever come across that in the story?
I heard like that. No, it's like Brij Bhasha. Brij Bhasha, Braj Bhasha, the language of Braj. They say it is spoken in Krishna Loka. So part of Krishna Loka is Navadvip. They say like that.
Well, have you personally read something like that?
Commentaries maybe of Goswamis or their disciples, it might be written like that. I haven't read it yet because I haven't studied the books enough. Oops. So I heard like that. Some great souls may have seen that. Hare Krishna. So today, please don't go outside. You can see that the roads are empty. The Prime Minister of India requested the people not to go out. But if you want to have kirtan in the compound, you can have a kirtan in the compound. Up to you, if you want. You're free to have kirtan in the Goshala, to do parikrama. Wherever you want, you can do kirtan. In the compound. Prasad is there. So you should not go hungry. It may be very spicy. You can cook your own prasad upstairs in the kitchen if you want. Because we are living here for many years, so we are accustomed to eating the spicy food. Okay. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hari Hari Bol.